Hello watchers. Welcome to the Recall Lab. Today we will explain a 2016 horror thriller movie. So let's begin and watch out for spoilers. The movie begins where we see a police officer whose name is Jong-Goo is been called by his colleague to report to a murder location. Jong-Goo is not a dedicated police officer, so he decides to take breakfast before leaving. He lives with his wife, mother, and her daughter name is Hyo-jin. When he reached to the location he was already late. He was terrified when he sees the murder location. There were 2 dead bodies and a lot of blood splashing all over the room, and when he sees the condition of the murderer he got scared. The murderer has rotten skin and his eyes turned white, and he was sitting unconsciously over there like someone is controlling him. Jong-Goo sees a strange plant over the location, but he ignored it. On that night Jong-Goo and his colleague were discussing about the case, and his colleague told that all the strange things started after a Japanese man arrived in their village. Jong-Goo didn't believe, but he knows that whole village has been talking about this. Then the power at police station is gone and Jong-Goo sees a naked woman outside banging the door. He was scared and asked his colleagues to go and check for her, but when they went outside, before they see anything she left. Next day Jong-Goo reached to another location where a fire has been break out and few people were injured. Those people were acting violently and attacked Jong-Goo. He didn't understand their behavior and sees that Japanese man around the house. When he reached to the police station he was still thinking about what his colleague told earlier about Japanese man. Then he remembers that the woman whose house has been burnt was the one they saw last night, from whom they got scared that day. Next day another incident happened. The woman whose house burned down killed all 3 members of their family and hung herself on a tree at the middle of the road. Jong-Goo meets his friend who told him about that woman, how her body was also covered with rotten skin and rashes, and all things were related to that Japanese man. Jong-Goo and his colleague were guarding the burned house. Then Jong-Goo discussed this with his colleague, but he didn't listen. But Jong-Goo still sends him to the doctor to cross-check the reason behind those rotten skin over the culprits. When Jong-Goo was alone, then a woman approached and told her that the lady killed them all and she saw everything. She went in the house and asked him to join. There she explained everything about how they were killed. She tells that the Japanese man is a ghost, and if you keep seeing him that means he is stalking you and you may be his next target. Then Jong-Goo got call from his colleague whom he informed about the witness and asked him to come quickly. But before he came the women disappeared, and then he saw the Japanese man who is having red eyes and eating a deer, and he ran after Jong-Goo, but then he wakes up and figure out that it's all happened in his dream. Now Hyo-jin was not feeling well and Jong-Goo take her to the hospital. When he reached to the station then his boss asked about the witness whom he lost and was not happy with his careless behavior. Then they went to that person who saw a naked man eating a deer. He told them about his story, but they didn't believe, so he took them to the place where he has dropped his hunted deer and saw that Japanese man eating that deer. He was not ready to go beyond this location, so they insist him to show that man's house, and they start arguing, and accidentally Jong-Goo pushed that man and he got seriously injured. And then they take him to the hospital. And then Jong-Goo hears some noises from outside. When he went there he saw the murderer of the first case there, and he was suffering like he was burning from inside, and suddenly his bone breaks and he died there. Then that night Hyo-jin also had a strange dream and was behaving like the one we saw in hospital. Next morning Hyo-jin ate a lot of fish and everyone was surprised as they never saw her eating fish before. Then Jong-Goo's mother told him that she will take help from a shaman and told Jong-Goo to not interfere. Then Jong-Goo with his colleague and his colleague's nephew who knew Japanese went to that Japanese man's house. When they reached there they saw no one was there, so they start searching for any evidence. Then Jong-Goo finds the room which looks like some used to do black magic over there, and his colleague found a secret room full of photographs of people who died before and after their death. And he found Hyo-jin's shoe over there, that means Hyo-jin is his next target. When they were returning he told Jong-Goo that Japanese man is the criminal and Hyo-jin is his next target. Then Jong-Goo went home and asked Hyo-jin about this, but she replied angrily and left the room. That night Jong-Goo secretly went to Hyo-jin's room and saw she has drawn evil paintings in her notebook and sees those same rashes on her body, and then Hyo-jin starts shouting and told that she will gonna kill all of them. Next day Jong-Goo with his colleague's nephew went to Japanese man's house to interrogate with him, but he was not telling anything. So, Jong-Goo loses his temper and told old Japanese man to leave this town within 3 days, otherwise he will face consequences, and breaks some things from his house, and then the dog attacked him and he killed Japanese man's dog. Next the shaman arrives and start doing his rituals. With all the efforts he can, he was not able to defeat the evil. Then he told that the Japanese man is behind all the strange things happening in the town. So we have to either banish him or kill him to save your daughter in town. He told about a ritual that they will perform to defeat the devil. In the night when they start the ritual, the Japanese man was also performing a ritual, and then Hyo-jin started feeling pain in her body and started shouting when she cannot bear the pain and was about to pass out. Jong-Goo stops the shaman, and then the Japanese man also start feeling the pain, and he crawled to his room and he saw that woman which we saw talks to Jong-Goo and fainted. Next Jong-Goo went to his friends and explained them his situation and asks help to kill the Japanese man, and they all agree and went to Japanese man's house. When they reached there, the old man was not there. Then they saw a person who was looking like zombie attack them. They were hitting him, but he didn't die, and suddenly he automatically started suffocating and then died. Then they saw the Japanese man and start chasing him, but he jumps from the cliff and manages to save his life. Then that Japanese man saw that woman again, so he starts chasing her to kill her, and Jong-Goo and his friends left the place as they were not able to find the Japanese man. While they were returning, a person fell from the mountain in front of their vehicle. So they went down and see that it's the Japanese man, and we saw that women tricked him to fell him from the mountain, and they all throw him from the road to the lower mountain and thought that he will be dead. Now Jong-Goo visited Hyo-jin in hospital, and now she is behaving normally, so they thought everything is fine now. But then we saw that Jong-Goo's colleague was also infected by the black magic and he killed his house owner. The shaman tries to call Jong-Goo, but he is not picking up his call, so he decides to go to their house to meet them. When he reached there, he started bleeding, and we saw that woman, she told him to leave from here if he wants to live. We see that the shaman tries to leave the town, but some strange power stops him to leave the place, and we see the nephew was driving car towards the location where they throw the Japanese man to check whether he is dead or not. Then the shaman told Jong-Goo that they have done a mistake and the woman is the real demon and Japanese man was not the devil. Jong-Goo tries to find Hyo-jin, but she was not in the house, so he went outside to search her. Then he encountered the woman. He asked her about Hyo-jin, so she said she is in the house and she has done rituals to protect her from the Japanese man. She asked her not to go in the house, otherwise the devil will kill all of them. She told that the shaman and Japanese man works together and don't believe what they say. But Jong-Goo was confused and thought that the woman is the devil and went in the house. On the other side, nephew found one cave where the Japanese man was still alive. So he asked him to touch him so that he will be sure that the Japanese man is not a ghost, because ghosts don't have bones and skin. And then the Japanese man take out his camera and click one picture of nephew, and after that we see the devil was Japanese man and he has horns over his head and blood red eyes, and now he will kill the nephew. In Jong-Goo's house, when he went in, he sees that her mother and wife are dead and Hyo-jin has knife in his hand. And the woman was an angel spirit and she really tries to save his family. In the end, the woman was sitting hopelessly as she was not able to save Jong-Goo's family. And in the end, the shaman went to Jong-Goo's house and take pictures of them, and he has one box which contains the images which we saw earlier in Japanese man's house, which proves that he works with Japanese man. The movie ends here.